Hello, I'm Aristotle Galanis, and you're listening to Music Mongrels.
I would kill anyone who hurts you, guess I'm dying in the process. And I know this rhyme's all over, I can't think straight when I'm writing. Shit's a racket, tennis, back and forth. Spit a sentence like a menace, menacing. The sun is out, it's looking beautiful. Weather's looking perfect for a funeral. More inside a coffin, often body rot and make a profit off my poetry. I'll save you from your poverty. Shit is getting ugly, yucky Thomas, want my money, love me bitch, I'm suicidal. Play my songs on vinyl when I die, I hope you pick it up. Shit is vital, I'ma panic, raid the cabinet, take some pills to calm the static in the attic. This rap is messy, hope I get it on a physical. Mail the CD to your address so you know it's fucking critical. Shit's been getting difficult, mama just complains about the trauma in my brain. It smells like caca, mix of roaches, crack me open, spill my liquids down the drain. Trying to fucking plant my seeds, I roll your blunts and smoke your weed. If you would please just fucking stay with me. I wheeze and cough and turn and toss, convince my brain that this is love. Wheeze and cough and turn and toss, convince my brain that this is love. This is love, this is love, this is love.
So we're on. So, hi, this is the second installment of Music Mongrels. This is, I believe, October 6, 2020, and this is our second guest. Introduce yourself.
Hey, I'm Moy, also known as MoyBoiChipsAhoy.
Do you go by any other monikers ever?
Chef Moyardi, Little Pistol Grip, Young Butterknife, Manuel, if my friends are being like mean and are trying to like be assholes.
So if you don't know everybody, this is one of my best friends, MoyBoiChipsAhoy, Moises Pulido, whatever you want to call him.
Aw.
And I've known him for about 2 years, and we've done everything from record stuff together to make videos, edit stuff, just kind of
like
talk
everything.
shit after hours, whatever, everything. So, and then now we're doing this little show. So, just general question, you could take it however you want to. Like, what got you into music and art in general?
Oof. Wow, brain fart. I was trying to find ways to cope while in school.
High school?
Yeah, I mean, that's what I got really serious about. I've always drawn. When I was little, I used to draw, like, SpongeBob and shit like that.
Here.
Just anything that like cartoons, anything that was media-wise that I liked growing up. And then I got really serious about it in high school because, like, not even high school, middle school, I started writing in my journal, and it wasn't too serious, but I took it serious because I was, like, all, like, cringy and edgy and stuff, and angsty. Angsty is the right word, I would say. So I started writing, and it was just, like, me wearing the bands I would listen to at the time on my sleeve, and I would just write really shitty poetry that was just not good. Not good at all. And, yeah, and then after that, you do something for long enough, you start getting better at it, and I won some competitions, and that poetry thing went on for a while, and I started making music, I think, 2-3 years ago, as a joke, and then it got serious, and blah, 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 yeah. I mean, I've talked about this plenty, but yeah, that's basically how it went.
That's cool, man. So, like, did you ever have any clique or any type of people that, like, you got along with music? Whether if it was creating it or listening to it, or were you kind of like the lone wolf? Because I know I was kind of in high school the lone wolf.
Oh, in high school? Yeah. In high school, I was an outcast, yeah. I didn't get... Well, not that I didn't get along, but my peers were just different from how I was.
So you only had kind of like mostly acquaintances, a couple good
Well,
friends?
not even that, really. Like, I had like maybe 2-3 friends. One of them, which was like an actual true friend, and the others were just people that seemed like they were true friends on the surface, but then later on they weren't, obviously.
And were you always like? Was it always kind of like that, or was it something that kind of started as a result of being heavily into arts and stuff?
Well, it definitely fluctuated. I transferred back and forth from different schools, George Rogers Clark and Hammond High, and I was definitely more of a loner at Hammond High, but at George Rogers Clark, I had a little bit of a clique, I guess.
I could kind of see that because I could see Hammond High as kind of opposed to a place like Morden or something like that. If you don't know, this is schools in Hammond. Like it seems like they have Hammond High has less of affinity for like the arts and stuff.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. George Rogers Clark, I was less of a loner. I had like more friends there, but they weren't real friends. They seemed, like I said, surface type shit. They seemed like real friends. I got attached. That ultimately crumbled. I kept like maybe one or two. Also at Hammond High, I kept like one or two, and I can just say I have like 3 or 4 friends from high school, and that's it. I think it's 3. Yeah, it's 3 friends from high school, and that's pretty much it.
Same here, pretty much.
Yeah.
As far as people like talk to on a weekly basis or whatever.
Well, it wasn't until I went to Paul Henry's art gallery that I found like my tribe of people. Because before that, I just was not doing friends with the amigos situation. Not many people had stuck around, but it was just because people were so used to the herd mentality, and like
Paul Henry's just like antithesis to that.
Yeah, so like I've always been an individual that I am how I am, and I'm not afraid to express that. And at Hammond High and somewhat George Rogers Clark, people have the herd mentality, like you like whatever's mainstream or surface level, and not that there's anything wrong with that, but anyone who isn't that, you get kind of shut out. So it wasn't until I went to Paul Henry's art gallery close to the end of my senior year.
It's funny how something could change like overnight like that.
Yeah, it was like amazing. I mean, it wasn't something that happened right away either. You go somewhere new. It's not like you have like genuine friends right away, but I went there long enough, and I built up relationships with people like yourself, and now my tribe
any other,
of people.
Potential people like come up to mind when you mentioned Paul Henry's?
Elliot.
Well, like a number of people were obviously going to leave out some by mistake. But
yeah. I mean,
there's like almost everybody there.
Yeah, Elliot, Monica, Liz. Brain fart.
It's funny that even the people this is interesting statement, but I'm sure you would agree that even the people I get along with the least, sometimes at Paul Henry's I get along more with than the people I got along with best at high school sometimes.
Yeah.
Or like at least acquaintances. Like it seems like even the people I didn't get along with, I had a deep connection with or knew them well. Like it felt like it was harder to read people in high school.
Yeah, most
like you got to know them more like at Paul Henry's because it wasn't just you're here to learn this. It was this big kind of playground.
Well, everyone's a character.
Right.
That's like factual. Everyone is a character in their own right. No one at Paul Henry's or in our friend group.
We're usually,
is exactly like one another. We're similar in a lot of ways, but everyone is their own character. They have their own
everybody
traits.
kind of accepts that, and that's why it clicks.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what
like
it's about.
If you had 7 metalheads and like 2 country fans or whatever, then it would become a herd situation. But I think it's the fact that everybody is different.
I mean,
they just accept it.
We're all into like different things as far as like, say for example, something that we're all into, like at least to an extent, is say like rock music, right? But we're all into different versions of rock music.
Yeah, like you might swing more to metal or like
like I'm more like hardcore
or new metal
or like I do have a guilty pleasure for new metal, that's for sure.
Yeah. And then for me, I would gravitate to like folk rock or garage rock. Or
whatever. And then Elliot might be like into like grunge era type shit, or just shit like Alice in Chains, Nirvana, shit like that.
And then someone like Brett, he likes jazz a lot, and he likes, but then also he likes grunge and stuff too.
Yeah, exactly. So everyone in our group is a character. Everyone has their own characteristics. We're all very similar, but we're all very different, and I think that's the beauty of it because we accept each other for what it is, and we understand each other to a good extent. And it's not really like no one's trying to compete with each other. You know what I mean? It's not like a lot of people think, oh, like the arts, like you have to compete, you have to like, be better than this person, you have to like, and it's not about that. It's more so like trying to build each other up and just like, it's not competition. It's very friendly. It's very beautiful. It's healthy,
And then there's people, I feel like with places like Paul Henry's or bars or whatever, there's people, it's like it's either it's like a love or hate type thing, not in terms of hate, but it's like you either see it kind of as a novelty that you'll visit once a year, or you accept it as a place like, wow, this is like a good stomping ground to go to. And
Oh,
people.
most dude,
It feels like when you walk in, you kind of make your assessment right away, or it's like something that kind of clicks. It seems like.
Well, I was talking to Adrian the other day, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
he's somebody that kind of like, I know he likes music and stuff, and he's starting to reveal that more to me now. But like before, like, it kind of seemed like an interesting fit for Paul Henry's kind of.
Yeah, well, we were talking the other day in his car, late at night, as people do. You're welcome. And basically, we were talking about the characters in our group, and we were talking about Elliot specifically at one point. And we were talking about how Elliot does not live close to the area. Mm-hmm. He doesn't live like extremely far.
But and if anybody doesn't know, Elliot's really good guitarist and artist around the area, and he writes his own music, and he collaborates with Moises and me, and a lot of other people.
And his name is Fido Magnolia, as far as his stage name goes. But he doesn't live extremely close. He lives about an hour away, whatever. It's not like conveniently close. And we were talking about how
he treats it like a job almost. Like
he showed up to the gallery out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like he just showed up out of nowhere.
I think he heard through the Doug thing.
Yeah, I mean he like was telling me how prior to going to Paul Henry's, he was going to different art galleries like around, and none of them felt right to him. And it wasn't until he came to Paul Henry specifically that he felt at home. He met us and it felt right. He kept coming a few more times. We all got closer, and to me that's crazy because I think that means more. Like that can't just be coincidental. Right, like we're all characters. Elliot's one of the biggest characters I've ever met. Not saying he's wearing a gimmick by any means, but he's like real. He's a real person,
It's funny. They're like, like all of us in our own way are like people out of a book or something.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
It's hard to believe, but it's like we are who we present usually to an extent. I mean, sometimes we exaggerate if there's a camera on, but I mean, besides that, like.
Well, yeah, it's a very beautiful thing. But yeah, shout out to Elliot, Liz, Monica, Ryan Beal, Dave Mueller, Kyle Murdoch, you, because I met you through there.
So let's go into kind of how we met, because then we could kind of like, go on to this big, thing sort of. So I'll say, when was the first time you went to Paul Henry's? Around.
I was still.
I think I met you then.
I was still in high school. I was a senior. I think I was close to graduating, but not maybe some months away from graduating. I had a teacher. Sorry, I keep stumbling on my words. A teacher at Hammond High was aware that I was into poetry, and she told me, "Hey, there's this poetry slam going on at the Chess Art Gallery," and I had only been in one poetry slam prior to this, which was a school poetry slam, so it wasn't anything too official. But it was one hosted by Purdue at the Chess Art Gallery. Mm-hmm. So she suggested that I be a part of it. I signed up for it. I went. I won, funny enough. I barely won, very barely won. There's phenomenal poets there. And I was told by Patrick Stupinski, actually. Patrick.
Mm-hmm. He does the Paul Henry's online now.
Yeah, he used to host open mics at the Chess Art Gallery too. And he had said at the end of the show, he was playing guitar, and he said, "Hey, there's this really cool art gallery called Paul Henry's, and if anyone's interested, you should go." And he said, "There's also open mics here every whatever day it was, Thursdays. I think it was like right before Paul Henry's on Thursdays." And he basically told me and my brother, me especially, because I had won the thing, so he was like talking to me a lot, and he said, "Yeah, you guys should come to the Chess Art Gallery open mic." And then we went, and then after that we would go to Paul Henry's, and so it was like around like senior year of high school, towards the end of it, and ever since then I never stopped going.
Yeah, same here. Like I remember I met you, really met you. I would say maybe like, was it let me think here. I think it was maybe like the middle of 2018, I think.
Well, I saw you way before this.
Yeah, I know, like probably when I was like 15.
No, yeah, I was like, what was it? Was it like, what, 2015?
15,
yeah, around there. Because I was going to that. I went to Paul Henry's
so
way before
must have been like
this.
16 then or something.
Yeah, I went to Paul Henry's way before this, but I didn't know it was called Paul Henry's. I didn't know what the fuck it was. Right. I was going with a girl who.
How did you hear about it? It was just because like.
This girl that went to school with me at the time, she was like significantly older than me, but she would invite me to go with her because we would get along because we were into like emo music and shit like that.
Right.
And I would go because I was attracted to her, and we would never go into the actual room where people were performing. We'd just be in the back playing chess, even though I have
no... Was
no...
it on the Thursdays?
Yeah, and I had no idea how to play chess. I would just move my pawns forward just to piss her off. But
right.
Yeah, I was just going because I was attracted to her. I just remember you walk up out of nowhere and you're playing your guitar and you have like X's on your hands.
Mm-hmm. It's funny because you remember more than I do. I like very vaguely remember because the thing is I used to go there like so many times that you know, there's like been like probably like, you know, 24 interactions I've had by the chess table.
Well, characters, man. That's what I'm saying. You're a character. You have, you know, the big hair and you wear the clothes like that. You wear like the black with the V-necks, and you have the X's on your hands. You have your nails painted, and you're like going off on your guitar. And you have a very like acquired voice. You know, you have a very like specific voice, and it's like it stands out. Yeah. So
I think you're very into like, you know, I've heard people say this before, my mom included, that you have a certain level of like, I think your stuff is very genuine, but I think you have a certain amount of performance theater or like acting in your stuff.
Yeah.
You know, because it's like, even if you feel the emotions inside of you genuinely, like if you're not feeling it at that time being, you're gonna make sure you portray that or get that out.
Yeah, most definitely. I
feel like was really cool in Paul Henry is like, you know, you would always like, you know, put 110% into what you wanted to convey. You know, which I think. You know, they talk about different people doing things in the, you know, 50s or 90s or whatever as being defiant or like making things, putting a new spin on something or making people shocked. But I feel like that, like in terms of what you talk about in your poetry and what you, how you perform it, I think that was like kind of your way of like making things different or something, or like making people like bewildered or whatever.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, poetry is theater, I would say.
Right.
I've never been in like, say, the theater. Like as far as like, you know, I've never been a part of that scene. I've never really been in a play. I've never done anything like that. I just know poetry is expression, and I did poetry before I started rapping.
How'd you get into poetry again? Wasn't it a YouTube thing or something?
Well, no, I was writing poetry. I didn't get into spoken word because writing poetry and doing spoken word is different. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like spoken word poetry is a little more like conversational, and it's not so much like, let me like focus on the rhyme schemes type shit. It's just like having a conversation kind of.
Yep.
I didn't get into spoken word until like I found a CD in my brother's basement, and it was this rapper named Guante, and he was also a spoken word poet on Button Poetry. And I had never listened to spoken word poetry before. I only knew like the basic shit, like Edgar Allan Poe, Robert Frost, you know, all the shit you're taught in school, shit that rhymes, shit that's super like simplistic. Not to knock it, but it just wasn't what I would enjoy now, I suppose. But yeah, I looked up Guante. He was on Button Poetry, and then I looked up other really popular Button Poetry artists like Neil Hilborn, Sam Sachs, Jeremy Radin, some of my biggest inspirations. And that was when I got into spoken word, and that's when my poetry really flourished and went to the next level. And it wasn't just like, you know, pen to paper, but it was also like mouth to audience. So yeah, like spoken word, I should say.
Did you ever have any stage fright or any like, or like even camera shy or anything? Because I know some people that, you know.
Yeah, most definitely. I have anxiety. You know, I have anxiety. I
did too at first, and like now significantly less. Like I could say for sure at Paul Henry's I'd either be hiding inside my paper I was looking at, or behind my hair or whatever.
There's always I feel for artists who are being extremely vulnerable.
Right.
I feel like there's always this amount of anxiety or this amount of like nerve-wracking whatever. Even when you're super used to it, I feel like if you're expressing yourself and you're being vulnerable and you're really putting your all onto the stage, and like on stage rather, there's always going to be that subtle feeling of nerve. And I always get that subtle feeling of nerve or anxiety when I'm on stage. And I kind of use it to my favor because that adrenaline or whatever helps push me. And that goes back to the whole theatrical aspect, you know. I have never been in plays, but every time I would get up there and perform poetry, I would, it's almost like I got into character. I was playing myself from a certain period. I never played the role of another person, but it was me.
You should try that. Like,
yeah, I mean, most definitely, eventually. But I would play.
You could play the role of like whoever you're talking about. If it's like your parent or your ex or whoever.
But I would play myself, and I would play myself like years before when I wrote certain poems.
I will say though, I think you have sometimes played the role of that. Like for instance, not to beat a dead horse, but with Cold and Numb or something, where you're like, You know, or like what's the song? The all bitches want to see Moy sad. Or
Oh, well,
whatever.
that's the rap thing. Like I'll get there soon. But with poetry, I played roles of myself from different time periods, or even roles that I was going through at the time. And I would basically have to, like, say I wrote a poem last week and I almost blew my brains out with a fucking shotgun or something, right? But say I didn't do it, or it was an unsuccessful attempt. I would have to put myself in that character a week later when I was performing said poem. So that's why it's so gut-wrenching when you're hearing it, because I'm putting myself in that character. It's me, but that was me last week. Right now I'm thinking clear, but let me put myself in that headspace when I wasn't thinking clear.
Yeah.
Let me slit my wrists on the stage and make a mess. Let me get blood on your shirt.
Right.
You know, and see how you react to that. And it's very polarizing. People love it, people hate it. But
because I've seen everything from, like, you know, I've seen 75-year-olds that love it, and I've seen 20-year-olds that don't like it.
yeah, it's polarizing.
You know what I mean? So,
people are either going to love it, they're going to hate it, they're not going to know what to do with it. But you cannot
and then
deny.
there's some people that are just like, don't really know what to say.
But you can't deny the authenticity. You know, that's something you can't deny. That's something that's it's factual. There's authenticity. This is raw.
Yeah.
And no one, even if you hate it, you cannot not call it that. I had a fucking old lady at Paul Henry's fucking say, like, why do you curse so much in your poetry? Or, like, she complained to Dave, and that was when the whole, like, you know, no cursing rule became a thing, and I stopped performing. But I literally performed one time on the day of when I attempted suicide and got hospitalized. I read 3 poems that were very dear to my heart. And that same lady, you know, came up to me after the show. I didn't have any good feelings towards her because she, like, would always complain about my shit. But she came up to me because I said at the beginning of my performance, this is the yearly anniversary of my suicide attempt, and I wrote the 3 poems I wrote while I was hospitalized. And she came up to me and she hugged me and she said, I hope you're okay. And that went to show, like, even though she doesn't agree with what I do, she felt the energy, she felt the rawness, she felt, you know. And that's undeniable at the end of the day. So if there's anything that I am proud of within myself is my ability to portray very raw and emotional feelings.
I just had a passing thought. I forgot it for a second, but it came back to me that I feel like you have the aspect and the motives of the best, some of the best art and poetry and comedy, kind of, or performance in general. That you have a certain amount of. You have wit, you have, like, tragedy, and you have comedy in it. And, like, the thing is, I've seen people watch you before, and, you know, within a performance, they could be, you know, chuckling in the beginning because you say dick or something. And they could be, you know, kind of looking distraught kind of by the end, or vice versa.
Well, that's
you
the
know,
thing.
so I think that's where the best art comes from, or comedy even, too.
Well, absolutely. I'm trying to portray life. You know, my life specifically.
Like, you know, you got to really break down, why do people laugh? You know, it's like it's, you know, tragedy stuff. You know?
Well, it's you know, I laugh at my pain a lot. You know, and I don't want to sit here and act like, you know, oh, I'm a tortured soul.
Yeah,
like,
or you
life
could obviously
is
lean your art. You definitely, you know, you could definitely lean your art to ultimately more tragic, but you could throw some jokes in there too.
Yeah, most definitely, and that's the thing. Like, I am trying to portray life. At the end of the day, my life just so happens to be very sad in a lot of aspects. Not saying that I'm, like, a tortured soul in the fact that I have it worse than other people. I don't. I'm just a kid that is depressed, right? I have both my parents, this or that. Like, and I'm not even trying to compare chains. Obviously, if you're depressed, you're depressed. If you're suicidal, you're suicidal. You don't have to have some sort of grand reason for it. If you feel it, you feel it, and no one should make you feel like shit about it just because someone else is going through it worse. But what I'm getting at is I'm just depressed. Like, that's what I go through. My life isn't too hard as far as just me being lost in life and wanting to be an artist and the struggles of that. But, you know, I do feel a lot of depression. I do feel a lot of anxiety. I do feel a lot of suicidal ideation. And that's why that reflects so hard on my music. So many people have told me, like, why don't you try writing something happy? Why don't you try writing something positive? And the fact of the matter is I do sometimes. It's just all the sad stuff overshadows all that other stuff because I mostly write sad because that's most of what I feel. I mean, you know as well as anybody, I have YouTube videos where I'm doing fucking ridiculous things of, like, that's like humor, right? Like the Coach Moyes or the fucking whatever.
Or even the Sip and Talk.
Yeah, and I haven't made videos like that for a while because I have not felt that way for a while. But as soon as I do feel that way, I will make videos like that again, right? So it's like I'm portraying life. I'm not making art specifically to try to, like, please anyone but myself. And if anyone gets anything out of it.
I feel like you have a really good thing too, which I like doing with music too, and a lot of people do that we know, that they could have something where it sounds like a happy song from the surface, the music, but then like it's sad, or vice versa.
Well, I love that. I love that because it rattles people's brains.
Well, it's like when we play, like I'll pick a certain song that sounds like happy or whatever, and then you're singing, something about suicide or whatever.
Yeah.
About like a bad relationship or something.
Well, yeah, people, and that's the cool part. Like
what's your song about? Like it's all about like what people want you to be. It's not cold and numb. It's like they want to see you sad and all that. And the bitches want to see
Home Alone with the lights off.
Oh, well, yeah, like that one's a good example.
Yeah.
Because, like, it sounds like a fun song and everything, and even just how you say it and everything, and the, like, call and response when you play it live. But, like, when you get to it, it's like, if you're thinking about this stuff alone at night and stuff, it could be like a fucking tragic thought.
That's just the fucking thing, dude.
That they're trying to put you on a pedestal and, like, treat you like a
absolutely
doll.
That's the thing. Like, I literally have a line. Let me try to think how it goes. I'm paraphrasing.
Like they want to mold you, kind of.
Yeah, there's like this line I wrote in a journal or in a Google Doc somewhere. It's not on anything, but it's like, how does it go? People love when I play clown for their entertainment. Or sorry, I'm fucking this up. Everybody loves when I play clown for their entertainment. Everybody loves when I'm the funny boy, right? But as soon as I want to talk about depression,
or when you want to, but.
Yeah, no one gives a shit. So, and then the line ends with like, I might just kill myself on live stream. How fucking entertained are all of y'all now? And it's a very fucked up line. I was having
or they only want the stuff when they ask for it.
Yeah, like
because there's a King song that's called "Look on the Sunny Side" and it has that type of whole thing where it's tragic but it sounds happy, the music. But it says something like, when you try to play a happy tune, they ask like play that blues or whatever, and then when you play the blues, they say give a happy tune. So
yeah,
it's almost
people are never satisfied.
Yeah, exactly. Or they're like, hey, do this instead.
And that's
when a comic sometimes does something and they're like, do that one bit.
Yeah, and I had shows, some of our first shows together, because me and Aristotle of the Closets, we a lot of the first shows that we play together have been with each other, right? Like maybe the first 3 or 4 shows or something like that. Mm-hmm. And I would only have lo-fi music. For anyone who doesn't know what lo-fi music is, it's just like very chilled out, like beautiful beats, slow down, like nothing too aggressive, basically. I would only have lo-fi music on lo-fi beats. And there would be so many people on their phones the whole time. Like, and that's fine, like I'm not trying to say like you can't be on your phone, whatever, but it just sucked because I was pouring my heart out on that stage and no one would even turn for a second to pay attention to any of what the fuck I'm trying to do.
Right.
It wasn't until I wrote songs.
Because I actually like a lot of your slower stuff.
Yeah, and I love that stuff.
I like the fast stuff too, but I think I'll put it this way. I think sometimes when it's slower, it's easier to so some of the faster songs could be just as good lyrically in the message.
It's easier to digest.
It's easier to digest or listen. Yeah.
And that's the reason why I wrote the fast songs. It was a fuck you to the crowd. It was a fuck you to everybody. It was a fuck you to myself even. Like, the fast songs are supposed to portray the angry side of me. Even though the lo-fi songs portrayed anger too, but...
Or it's almost kind of like, how do I mention it, like tongue-in-cheek. Kind
of, absolutely.
It's almost like, like this is my quote-unquote sellout thing or whatever.
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
You,
that stuff
because
was
sometimes
supposed to be
the funny thing
stuff.
is a lot of those lyrics are actually about... the topic of selling out.
Yeah, I mean,
the crowded ones.
I'll tell you
cool.
this
You're
much.
singing about what you're doing, which is cool.
Yeah, and I'll tell you this much. Like, I literally, Cold and Numb. Yeah, Cold and Numb, Barking and Biting, Petty and Stupid, Home Alone with the Lights Off, all those songs, they're very fast. They're very catchy, but, like, fast and hype. They're hype. It wasn't until I made those fucking songs that everybody who wasn't paying the fuck attention at my lo-fi sets finally turned their head. I had to rap stupid. Not saying that rapping fast is stupid, but I had to rap in a way that I didn't want to rap to be able to turn people's heads. And I love those songs. Don't get me wrong. I love those songs. But I made those songs with the intention of anger in my heart. I had anger in my heart, and I had the intention of trying to turn people's heads, but simultaneously saying fuck you in the music without people even knowing, because I was rapping so fucking fast that they couldn't even fucking make it out.
And to go with that statement of doing something that you normally wouldn't do or that you wouldn't think would be as sophisticated or whatever, with all of our guerrilla gigs and shit like that, or even some of the crazy music videos that you and I do, that from the surface it might seem like a stupid thing to do, but it is almost like a certain portrayal of it's more sophisticated than you think in a weird way.
Yeah.
Which, not trying to say that it's some rocket science, but fucking as an example or something, it would almost be the way that like Jimi Hendrix would light his guitar on fire or something. It would kind of mean something or trying to portray something.
Absolutely.
Or the way some rapper would wear a certain hat with a certain symbol to kind of portray something. It might seem like from the surface it might mean nothing, but then you look into it.
Well, we're trying to push boundaries, and I feel like the way that
it's a statement that there's nowhere for us to play and nothing to do, and this is what we do.
And we're not even pushing boundaries as fact as sorry, I went all over the place. Mm-hmm. We're not even pushing boundaries in the fact that like we're being anything that we're not. We're being exactly who we are. We just so happen to be pushing boundaries while we do it. You know, somebody might do something on purpose to try to push boundaries, and it's not really them. They're just doing it to try to get like notice, whether it's like a fucking dumb, overly hyped rapper, like say 6ix9ine, for example. Like he just creates drama on purpose to try to get clout. Right. And, whatever. That's what he does. Us, we're not doing any of this shit.
Well, we could be doing it to get clout, but we're doing it.
Yeah, we're just doing it because it's what we like. It's what we do, and it's what we as artists do. And
yeah,
it just
or like
so
some of your
happens.
music videos, like they might be from the surface, like, oh, what the fuck is this? Like you rolling around on the floor or whatever.
And people will think like, oh, he did that on purpose to try to like look cool on camera. No, like I did that because that's how I was fucking feeling in that moment. That's what the fuck I did.
Some people might think with the bump on a log video, like, why the fuck is he talking to a log or something?
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like we're not trying to portray anything that we're not. We're doing exactly how we feel, and that's what it is. It's feeling, right? It's like a feeling that you get. It's an impulse, and you just do it. Like sometimes we're just like, okay, hey, let's go to the gas station. Wait, like last minute, you're
someone's trying to make it turn into like an art thing or something, or make
we don't intend to like do it when we're on our way to the gas station, but we're like, oh shit, what if we just play our music just to do it, and then we just fucking do it? It's like an impulse thing. It's not like something we pre-planned weeks ahead. You know what I mean?
It's kind of bringing a certain amount of I feel like a lot of things that's lost, especially in, it's not lost in rap or metal necessarily, but it's lost in pop and it's lost in rock, that there's not really any danger or risk anymore left. Like I feel like a lot of bands nowadays play it safe. Really predictable. Like there's a lot of great bands out there, but like, I feel like we're doing what like people were doing like 30 years ago and stuff, or 20 years ago.
Well, it's raw, man. People,
right? Exactly.
So many. Oh my god, so many fucking artists are. I keep saying fucking, fuckity, fuck.
Whether if it's in our music or the performance or whatever, we're trying to take some.
Yeah, like so many artists are trying to get that next radio hit. So many artists are trying to get that next bill,
which you could have that.
Yeah, and that's great.
A lot of times you accidentally get that.
Yeah, and I applaud. Like my hat's off to those fucking artists. I applaud those artists because they are making art and they are getting somewhere. And absolutely, I'm all about it. But you get so lost when you're only focusing on getting the next radio hit.
Right. I was saying your only motive is that.
Yeah, when that's your only motive, and it's like I'd never want to get stuck in that. I want to make raw music that is an embodiment.
It's just making commercials, basically.
Yeah, like I don't want to make commercials. Like if something I make just so happens to become commercially known, I want it to be on accident. I don't want it to be because my only intention was making a catchy song with shit lyrics just so that it pleases everyone else, rather than trying to please me artistically in the level of art that I know that I'm at, rather than succumbing to something lower to try to please everyone around me. Like fuck that. Fuck that.
So that being said, with stuff about being uncompromising and stuff and trying to soldier on and do shit, so I've gotten word, like, in addition to all your other releases, you're working on the Skeletons Want Me Dead thing, correct?
Yeah. Well, Skeletons Want Me Dead has been a thing it's like last year. I released it. It was on really shitty recordings that I did on my shitty computer mic. Mm-hmm. I had deleted it off YouTube, or I unlisted it because I wasn't satisfied with how it was recorded. But Skeletons Want Me Dead is a trilogy. Trilogy albums, part 1, part 2, and part 3. Each one has a story of their own. It's very conceptual. It's very theatrical. And basically, the concept behind that is just my life in that time period. Mm-hmm. Part 1 is an embodiment of my youth. It has to do with my struggles of growing up as an outcast. I kind of wear my influence on my sleeve. Tyler, the Creator, one of my favorite rappers, he has albums where he's talking to a therapist. So I wanted to do that, but in my own way. Mm-hmm. So I was just, wearing my influence on my sleeve. I'm talking to a therapist throughout the whole thing. He's trying to encourage me, trying to like make me feel better throughout the first album, and then it ends abruptly. The second album is, as I said, that's like the hype album. That's the song that has all my hype songs on it. On that album, I wanted to do it where I flipped the script. What am I saying? I flipped the script. The therapist is an asshole at this point. He's encouraging me to do all these things that aren't going to make me happy, but will further me as an artist. Going back to the whole, making commercial shit. In part 2, he's telling me you can't rap about your feelings. You can't rap about these things that are personal to you. You need to rap about bitches. You need to rap about gold chains. You need to rap about all this hype shit. And that's what I do. And then at the end of it, I end up miserable because I don't feel like I accomplished anything in doing so. And then at the end of it, I find out that this person is just part of my self-conscious, and then I end up killing him off and we become one. And he reveals to me that skeletons was really just an umbrella term for mental illness, blah, blah, blah. And then part 3 is just like more lo-fi. It's me being aware that mental illness, or skeletons, like I said, mental illness being a costume term, skeletons, mental illness equals skeletons. Part 3 is me being aware that I'm mentally ill, me being aware that I'm not okay, me being aware that this is something that I'm probably going to live with my whole life. So I kind of live with it, and I acknowledge it, and I carry it with me, and I tell myself, like, even though this is shit, I can make light of this. I feel like that explanation was scattered as fuck. But yeah.
Hey, I'm informed that we have a viewer question on the show.
Okay, cool.
So right now, Moises Pulido, MoyBoiChipsAhoy, he's being interviewed on this podcast I'm hosting, Music Mongrels. I was wondering if you have any questions for the Cookie Man. Let me put you on speaker right now. Hello?
Yes. I would like to know, Moises Pulido.
What's your name, by the way? What's your name, by the way?
My name is Adrian Gonzalez.
Hey, Adrian.
I have a question for Moises Pulido.
Yeah.
I would like to know who your biggest inspiration is for your art.
That's some surface level ass question, pal.
Don't be disrespectful.
No, okay. My top 10 influences vary from JPEG Mafia, Earl Sweatshirt, Tyler the Creator, Sworn In, Youth Forever, Denzel Curry, Suicide Boys. Did I say Ghostman?
I didn't mean your music.
Ghostman, Death Grips, yeah.
I wasn't talking about your music.
What are you talking about?
Your actual art.
My music is my art, you motherfucker.
Fuck you, dude. That's why I don't listen to you.
Look, fuck you, dude. You sound kind of sexy.
Oh, well, unfortunately, the caller just hung up.
Oh, man. I was about to get explicit.
That was unfortunate, man. Well, in conclusion to that, I hear you have a song you're going to perform.
I have 2.
Yeah, but you perform one of the songs at the beginning of the show. So,
yeah.
What song are you going to play? Just choose.
Right now, well, the song I played at the beginning was called Cornflakes, and this song that I'm about to play is called Thank You.
Sounds good, man. So you're listening to the second episode of Music Mongrels with MoyBoiChipsAhoy.
Before we cut out, I just want to say, fuck anyone who's listening to this. Fuck
Adrian.
Fuck your guys' moms. Fuck your fucking dumb tattoos. Fuck the closets. Fuck MoyBoiChipsAhoy. Fuck Fetal Magnolia. Fuck everything. No, I thank you for having me on here.
No problem,
honestly.
man.
That's pretty cool. I get very lonely and horny sometimes, and sometimes I jerk off in my room like 8 times a day, and it's not very healthy. And I kind of like eating bread without anything on it, and I can also drink milk with any meal that I eat, which is probably gross. I'm gonna perform now.
Cool. Music Mongrels.
Yeah. It was cool. I can read you like a book, you got guilt on your conscience. You're hitting up my lines, spewing words that I made out of nonsense. You wanted diamonds over kindness, said I wasn't enough. Now that you're choking on your fucking wealth, check yourself before you make a mess again. See, you're complex like that. You like to test your limits. When I choose to leave, choose to finally feel regret. See, we're not different, you and me. I believe in doing good when good is present. Not hesitant with breath or second guess. I will address your sentences and sentence you to death. Inside my mind, just realize you left my body in a ditch. That's where sad and full of shit. Human beings, that's a safety. Even if it leads to death again, can make amends. I'm not your friend, just comprehend the words I'm saying. Brain is racing, lacing me with verbal liquor. Drunk in love we were, but now this time I finally see the bigger picture. I finally see the bigger picture. When you build a house of doubt, it will come tumbling down. Don't look my way when you're afraid of all the people around. You filled that void with smoke and piss, I could've gave you my love. Now you are searching for a person, but it's never enough. Drink that liquor and fucking get well quicker. Postpone pain like it won't make you sicker. I'm sick of all these games you play, you're probably bored with your life. I'm passionate about my art, I know I'm doing it right. It wasn't much, but I'll admit I made a bill off of merch. Wasn't the best that I could get, but it wasn't the worst. At least it's better than being buried under the earth. I learned to blossom from this hurt, you'll never know my worth. And now the smoke is finally cleared, I know I'm gonna be missed, because I'm one of the only boys that didn't treat you like shit. Now a young boy's tears, it's not a grown man's loss. No, I'm better off without you, hope you right all your wrongs. Used to be my world, but now you're just a topic of song. Write a tune, so write a blue. Pick a tablet, then follow reality will surely lead. That's a tough pill to swallow. Just a person fucking worthless in my brain, you hold no purpose anymore. I close the door in the hopes you catch my rhythm serpent slithering again. I hope this time you fucking listen. I hope this time you fucking listen. Thank you.